Alright, welcome back to another comic book screening video. This is part 2 of the Scout Comics subscription box, so definitely want to check out part 1. I'll put a link in the description of this video back to part 1, where essentially kind of went through my setup and graded what I thought was the first half. I did make a little bit of an issue that we'll correct. First of all, this for Happenauts Second Chance number 1. I had noted last time that I gave it a 9.6. There was a slight issue on the back. I couldn't tell if it was like a tape pull or what it was. But nevertheless, I did not data enter this. So I've made a couple of adjustments. I feel like I definitely need to upgrade the camera situation. To me, it's a little blurry. But hopefully the audio is coming in. And also, as you can see here on the main screen, kind of increased the size here and readjusted everything ready to go, so it's better to see. So please bear with me as I get going. These will get better over time, I promise, but it's really important just to kind of see the process here and see how I'm storing these and making it easier for me to find not only the comics that are in my collection, but the specific grades, because to me every grade is a unique variant. Okay, so what I failed to do last time is I really thought I was halfway through. I actually did 7 instead of 6. I'm going to go ahead and grab the title. Again, I gave this a 9.6 just to be on the safe side. And I want to make sure this is data entered. And I did put it in both Go Collect and Cover Price, which I'm using. And I'm going to put this as a 9.6. So right now you see the summaries at the bottom. We're looking at a 9.77 as far as average grade because of that 196 now. And an 86% chance. One thing I wanted to show too before I get started with the second half is this is showing the summary here of this specific order, but what about Scout Comics over time? So I keep this ledger stats, and this automatically updates as I add books to my collection and I add them to my spreadsheet. So you can see here, I used to keep this updated on my blog, which I really should do more often, but for now I'm just sharing it here in this video. Scout Comics right here, I categorize them as a direct publisher platform, online CVS, online comic book store, anything you can buy online. And you can see that we have 5 books to go in this screening process for the July 2021 subscription box. I have received and graded and cataloged 109 books from Scout Comics. The total average grade 9.681. With 67 of those books being a 9.8. So obviously if you're looking at like a minimum of 100 books received and graded, they're number 1. 616, I got 3 out of 4. And I bought 2 books from jihyunglee.com, and both of those came back as 9.8. So again, I would need to buy more from them. And you can kind of see these stats here. You can pause the video, take a look at it. If you're interested in seeing this updated on my blog more often, definitely let me know. The feedback's great so that I know you're interested in the data like I am. Otherwise, we'll just keep using it here in the video. So let me get started back with the grading, and we'll take a look at the next book. I'm going to move this stack that's been graded out of the way here. All right, and then the next one we have up for grading is Claire and the Dragons #1. This is another Scoot imprint from Scout Comics. These are fun, usually a little thinner. So not as thin as the Ashcan, where, as I mentioned in part 1, the Ashcans are, 3 to 5 pages maybe. So they're very, very thin and susceptible to very, very slight bends. I think I thought I damaged the book in part 1, but luckily I did not. Still gave it a 9.8. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, I don't see any visible spine ticks or color breaks. The corner definitely has softness there, but really, again, nothing out of the ordinary. So what I'm seeing here at the top is that little ding right there. And I tried to make the camera, try to position the camera a little further away. There we go. That keeps coming in out of focus. Definitely going to be my next upgrade. So to me, that is a little tear. I can't tell. I'm going to bring it in a little closer to me just to see. That actually might be the art. There are some white lines all over the art. So I think right there, that's actually part of the art. So everything else looks pretty good. Don't see any other issues. Again, apologize for the blurring. Very, very minor curling here in the spine. I wouldn't press this book per se for grading. Again, we hope that all Scout Comics get optioned right, since we have the subscription. But again, that's not something I would necessarily press. If I was super paranoid and wanted this to come back as a pure 9.8, I would press it. But I've had worse curls on the spine come back as 9. I'm not too worried about it. The only thing I am worried about right here, there is a little bit of an indent where either the book was handled or put against something. It almost has the size of, trying to move it into the light right there, just above the white. So those are the things I noticed too. It's almost like about the size of that Marvel Digital sticker. If I open it, I don't really see anything. It's very, very subtle on the back. So again, this is a 9.8 to me. If I'm super, super paranoid, then I definitely am going to just give that a little bit of a quick press, but I'm not stressing over it. Okay, so the next part is just making sure we're writing on the back. Again, as I mentioned in part 1, the boards are backwards to me, and I can tell when I write on it, it's not easy to write on the back of the board when the glossy side is back. I prefer the glossy to go against the comic. Definitely something that if you disagree with me, I'd love to get your feedback in the comments and start some dialogue about why you want glossy or matte against the comic itself. It's just a personal preference because the matte side on the back I can write on it. So this one gets a 9.8. All right. So now if we switch over, let's go to the spreadsheet and go collect and see if we can find this. So Claire, and the reason I didn't type out "and the dragons" is sometimes they will actually Go Collecting Cover Price will omit some words or phrases that are common or not specific to the book. In this case, it's all there. So personal collection determined that each book I paid $283 for. Condition is a 9.8. Was acquired on June 13th. Yep, one. Scout and save. Same thing over here. Good. It's got the data. I love when both sites have the data. Now, the cover price on this is $1.99. So that's where that hurts a little bit. But again, like ash cans, what do they go for if you buy them from Scout directly? They do some web store exclusives. Sometimes those show up in a mystery box. So I just feel like it all sort of evens itself out. So did I overpay for this one technically? If we're just going based on that average? Yes, absolutely overpaid. But again, it's just trying to keep things simple. So yeah, most of the Scout books from the subscription are coming in just with a value of cover price. Okay, let's file that one away. And the next one up will be stake number 4. Trying to organize what I've graded and what I have left. Okay, so stake number 4. Interesting, stake number 1 did pop, increase in value a little bit. Much still able to find that. I did get a couple of exclusives on that one that have a little bit of value. We'll check here in cover price in a second. All right, so first look. Again, expectations are high. That Scout's always delivering these in high grade. Looking at the spine, I don't really see any issues with this one either. Tell a 9.8, the fastest of any grade, and this certainly looks case. Really nothing on the front. The paper is definitely different from Marvel, but has that sort of Marvel feel on some of these. When it's I much prefer the matte, but for the gloss, looks okay. A little bit of a bump from the staple there, but nothing crazy. Really nice and clean, 9.8. So that looks good. All right, and then just like for Happenauts, I forgot to move this into the spreadsheet. So let me put the Claire and the Dragons number 1 in here. Data entered into both Go Collect and CP with my grade being a 9.8. We see those numbers now adjust again. And stake number 4, there is a 10 copy Alan Qua unlocked. That looks cool. And just to keep things simple, I averaged the cost of each book, 12 books in a $34 subscription box. Condition 9.8. I set everything to CGC Universal. I tell Go Collect that it's in my collection as if it's graded. And then what I do is, if I want to add my actual slabbed books into Go Collect, I have a different list. Right now, this is all going into the personal collection list. So I create a list for slabs, and they go in, and I data enter them just the same. But then I use the personal collection of my non-slab books to see what the slab version is going for, so that I can determine what do I want to submit. All right, so now if I search stake 4 here, And you can see from the last one, from the Scoot imprint book, it was $1.99. This cover price is a little higher, so this is going for just a touch under cover. I was wrong about those variants of Stake Number 1. It looks like they're holding at about $6, so really didn't go too crazy. Looks like this series is more or less still cover price across the board. Okay, let's put this in here. Stake Number 4, purchased again in June 2021. June 13th. So that was when the July subscription box was ordered. You know, now that I think about it, it might technically be the June subscription box, but since it arrived in July and I'm opening it in July, that's what it's going to be. So some of these backs of the board has Stake on it as well. I'm going to still write 9.8 on the glossy side, just so I can reference that in my collection if I want to see it at a glance. As I mentioned in part 1, when I do this where I put it's kind of hard to see on the Stake, but when I have this up here and I can turn my short box around and I can see all of the grades right at the top. So it's kind of nice. Look at all of them and see, grab the 9/8 for grading, or look at some books that I feel like possibly benefit from a press. Next one we have is By the Horns number 3. And of course, before I keep forgetting a step, before I move on, let's go ahead and put Stake Number 4. We have 3 books left to go. 9.8 again. Let's see here. The more I see the back of this board, the less fan of it, but it's okay. So this is By the Horns number 3. It's the first print. Now this is it's a different kind of cover paper. It's kind of a hybrid matte and glossy. It looks okay. I'm already noticing something here, right there on the corner, a little bit of a fold. Now, this is something I've been testing out with pressing. I just recently started pressing my books, and that's a fairly common, just a slight impact damage ding right there. And trying to see if, again, would that cause the book to not be a 9.8? I think so. And because I think so, I would not send it in. But certainly if I can just smooth that out. Does this book need a full press? No, it probably would benefit just from a spot press, like with a tack iron. But I'm not educated enough yet to understand just sort of the heat on some of these different paper quality. So I would hesitate, grab an iron and press that corner. Now, right there, I see something. I'm going to believe that by the touch, it just feels like it's part of the cover. So I believe it's part of the art. Again, always throws me off, those sorts of things right on the edge. But I believe it's just a continuation of this art. So that is not a flaw. So real crispy otherwise. Again, spine looks good on the back. No real issues there. Looks pretty good. And again, I do this for every single book I purchase and add to my collection. So I have a whole backlog of boxes and everything that I'm going to do unboxing videos for and kind of show you just kind of the process there of unboxing. And it goes into a queue where I then go through this process of grading and cataloging every book. And I found it to be super beneficial to identify books to sell and to slab and to grade. So let's go ahead and grade this one. Okay, realize my arm, like nobody wants to see my nasty hairy arm in the video, but in any case, we'll get through this. Okay, By the Horns number 3. Now the first thing I will notice, first thing I'll notice is that this is most likely a variant. So every time I say variant, I think of Loki. By the Horns 3. So typically, well, I was going to say cover price usually has the variants in here. It's probably a web store or some other variant, but since it's not in here, it doesn't really matter too much to know what this book is. I'm just going to assume it's a web store variant. Again, Scout will slip these in here, so I'll just manually type it in. By the Horns number 3, web store variant, and I'll indicate that I did not data enter these, but I'm going to give it a 9.6. I'm giving it a 9.6 for this reason. Right there on the corner. Just to me, that needs to be fixed somehow. I would not send this in as is. So what do I do there? So now I've got a book that I think has a pressable defect. Again, I'm not a fan of not only these boards that have the artwork on it because it's throwing me off. It's super hard to write on because of the glossy. What I'll do is I'll put an indicator, the letter P, I'll put that as an indicator right next to, there you go. I'll put the letter P right next to the number. And again, what that tells me is if I flip my short box around and I'm interested in pressing some books, I will look first for the 9.6 and 9.4s where I've indicated that the book can benefit from a press. And actually these are the self-adhesive bags, so I taped them while I was trying to talk and do things at the same time. I will find 9.6s and 9.4s where I've indicated that the book can be improved with a press. And I just kind of, again, turning my short box around and thumbing through the books, or dare I say fingering the books, and I'll find those and I'll work on those. I'll put them in my pressing stack. Certainly, again, helpful if I'm looking at books that are maybe spiking in value, and then I search for them in Go Collect, my spreadsheet, or Cover Price, wherever I want to search. Cover Price is hard to search kind of at a glance, so that, again, that's what I use Go Collect and the spreadsheet for, is to find books that I have in my collection that match top 10 lists and all kinds of things. Okay, so what do we have here? The next book, Tales Told in Technicolor, Season 1. This is the Scouts Black Caravan imprint. Cool cover. Really cool, kind of sketched looking cover. Skeletor, Ghost Rider looking thing. Really, really neat. I believe this is an anthology, another horror anthology book that's on the market. You get that matted cover, which I think the Black Caravan has that by default. They all kind of come with this great matted cover. But yeah, at first glance, really, really crispy. This is straight out of the subscription box. Again, into the grading queue that I have, short box. But I don't worry too much about the toughness of the black cover, because you could see here, like towards the top, there's really not much there. It's pretty clean and crisp. On those glossy ones, those spine ticks. This looks great. Corners look great. I'm not gonna suggest this is a 9.9 or anything. I don't do that. I just say it's a 9.8, and I let CGC or CBCS decide. Back cover looks awesome. Super crispy, clean, sharp lines everywhere. Really great. Now, again, just because I feel like it, and frankly, I just want to break from writing on the glossy side of boards, I'm going to replace the Scout Comics bag and board with my own, giving it a full 9.8 there. And I use the BCW regular/silver bags and boards. I don't like the modern size for moderns, if that's what we're still calling them, or new books. I like there to be a buffer, and I use the same brand bags and boards because as you're putting the book in, it doesn't create a vacuum, obviously, but it's just tight enough that it won't move around, and it creates this nice little border around it. So I know some collectors don't like the border and they just want to see the book, but my fear is that like while I'm recording and talking and thinking, I will drop the book and it'll hit the corner, and clearly you'll see here the corner wouldn't be damaged by my clumsiness. So this one does require that piece of tape. I don't like the selfie bags. And there we go. So now we've got this really, really beautiful, really cool cover here. Tales in Technicolor, Book 1, Season 1. Now, let's search and see if this is in the system. Tales Told. Like shortcut. Yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah, and you'll see, like, they hyphenate this Technicolor horror, and I just realized it's Tales Told in Horror. Trying to combine it into one. Regardless, there's a cool 10 copy. $283, what I paid. 9.8. June 13th, 2021. Purchase from Scout. Save it, and then do the same thing at cover price. Certainly, if you're interested to know why I use both, I can talk about it in more detail. Right now, you'll just have to bear with my my insanity of using both. Okay, Tales Told in Technicolor Horror. So this has a according to this, this is probably wrong. It's probably people buying the incentive, the 10 copy for $7.99, and the date is probably wrong. I doubt this one's going for $8 right out of the gate. But really cool cover. I like 9.8. Great cover, great matted cover. Love the matte type of feel on the comic. It really kind of, I don't want to say protects the book from damage, but it's less likely to be damaged. It's just a cleaner. Gosh, I wish more books had that matte cover and then the glossy on the inside. Okay, enough about that. Let's get wrapped up here. We're almost done. And I remembered this time, I'm just going to copy it right from Go Collect and not try and type in Technicolor or Technohorror myself. These are both in there. Great, 9.8. the average isn't even moving up because it's so close. And we have one left to go. Finish out the July 2021 Scout Comics subscription. All right. And this is the last one. Midnight Western Theater #2. I did get #1 in the last subscription box. I'm pretty sure this is all black and white. Means look at the cover a little bit more closely, make sure that there's nothing here. All right, so at first I thought these were fingerprints, but I believe it's just part of the art because I do see it on the other side. It's almost like a little bit of a cloud background in the digital art. Here it is on this side too. So those are not fingerprints, although I'm still worried about my fingerprints and sweating. Again, sometimes I'll hold the book like this underneath so that I'm not grabbing it like that and with my sweaty palms. Okay, down here, everything looks pretty good. So again, a couple of denting around the staples, but it's really just pressure from the staple on the cover. Nothing too crazy, rather. I would limit that to a manufacturing blemish. Corners look good. No other cover creases. And again, I'm getting nervous holding the book like this for a long time. I'm starting to sweat a little bit, so I'll flip it over without getting fingerprints and everything on it. One little issue there. Nothing on this side. If I spin it around, a little bit of staple pressure. Nothing too bad. What I noticed something right there. I can almost feel it to the touch. Just a slight dent. I don't know if I would press this one. I think it's a 9/8 by itself. I'd be comfortable setting that in as a 9/8, so that doesn't bother me too much. That little dent on the back. It's a lighter cover, so maybe if it was a darker cover, it would bother me more. Again, there's no 9.7. I'd give it like a 9.75 just because I'm kind of paranoid about that stuff. But I think overall, I'm probably being too critical. Midnight Western. I think I just put, Midnight Western 2. There it is. 283 in a 9.8 universal label. That's the standard designation. It's what I use by default because that's the grading service that I use. Purchase from Scout. Again, not #30. My bad. All right, there's #2. We're on a 9.8. #1 still holding it cover. Here's #2. Again, that subscription box is great because then you don't have to worry, should I collect all of these? If it's a 3, 4, 5 issue limited series, it just shows up in the subscription box. You don't have to worry about it. All right, purchase price out. And we are done. We are done with the subscription box. All right, let me copy this. And again, you see this building up. No surprise here that a 9.77 average grade with a 83 1/3% chance to get a 9.8. So really tremendous. I used to write these up on Twitter, and this is exactly where that data came from. So I would very simply say that I graded 12 books. Average grade was 9.77, 83 1/3% chance. So again, these books, great stories, really great, limited series, many of them to read. Several of Scout's books have been optioned, so really great to kind of put into your PC and kind of hold on to. But what I love more than anything is the quality. It's the high grade quality. So as Electric Black and Black Cotton, Stake, By the Horns, some of these more I would say popular of the Scout titles start to pick up steam. Maybe that Tales Told #1 gets a bump because of the cover. That would look great in a slab. If you're building kind of a horror slab cover collection, that one would be great. You're not guaranteed a 9.8, but it's the closest thing to a guarantee from anywhere that I buy comics online. So unless you're buying them specifically at a store and grading them the way that I do and screening them, which most stores frown upon that because you're at least getting fingerprints on the books. I love doing this at home. So now we see this was automatically updated. So as I completed these 12 books, the 109 total matched the 109 personal. So I've graded every book I've purchased directly from Scout Comics. And average grade is now 9.684 with a 65% chance of getting a 9.8. And if you're wondering, well, why is it 83 here and 65? Like I said, typically the ash cans will get a 9.2, 9.4, and I've had a couple monthly boxes come in where just some basic spine ticks and whatnot. So there you go. That's the updated ledger as of right now. Appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and we'll see you again soon.